got the look, flaunt it. So bad I had to write a hook on it. Too bad I should've wrote a book on it. One taste, 9 nigga hooked on it. Other chicks shook on it. Past girls get X'd out. First one is done, consider my ex now. Second one is none, couldn't keep the stress down. Third one's a charm, so let's bounce. Better flow, yeah, that's what we headed for. Pedals on the floor, put you on a pedestal. We both young, the night's younger, so let's not waste time hung up on life's slumbers. But get back in the bed and get under nice covers, ignoring them phone calls when your cell phone's buzzing. You keep coming, make it a wine toast. And yeah, I gotta look when you land your thighs close enough.
Hey babe, I want you, I want you. Give this thing a try. Want you, I want you, I give a try.
It's like I keep it raw, we should keep it honest. From slow raps, relax, to lower back massages. Hard to achieve, hard to believe. Time's hard when you wear your heart on your sleeve, but emotions get involved. Sex, Addison and text, emoticons, open arms, yeah. To a Detroit slayer, they probably throwing cash like Detroit players. Detroit's mayor. Baby girl, it's me and you up in the air. Two up in the air, drove smoke, blew up in the air. So what we do up in the bed, no compare, yeah. I hope it stay timeless, down for a long time until we old timers. Just be prepared whenever they see I'm with you to get those 21 questions whenever the spotlight hits you, I'm on.
All the love that I was dreaming of, want you, and all the things that you were thinking of, want you, I want you, I should give a try.
And how she wants this to evolve. The very fact that I'm saying these things is a sign of sophistication and growth. People couldn't say this 10 years ago, and people are listening. A third of the people that listen to this are going to think it over and are going to take some steps in self-actualization.
let's go see Grandpa in the garden. Hello, children. So nice of you to visit us in the garden today. You can just call me Grandpa. And with me today are Pepe.
Hi, everybody.
And Maria.
Hello.
Well, kids, today's story is about changing the world.
Grandpa, everybody can't be happy. No, it's impossible.
Impossible? Why, nothing's impossible. Aren't you happy?
Well, yes, of course.
Well, then,
But the world's so big and bad.
since you're happy, you should go out and try to make others happy like you are.
But who am I? What can I do?
We're so little and so few. Who are we to try to change the world?
Well, if you have changed one life, you have changed a part of the world, and you have proven that there is hope that it can all be changed.
Social distancing
variety
hour.
You can change the world
Yes.
as one person,
Grandpa says
even if
so.
you are not happy. Uncle Grandpa said so.
Uncle Grandpa.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Adam. That's Michael. He's over
I'm
there.
Michael.
Yeah.
That's Ren.
Yeah. Hi, baby.
As I pointed behind my shoulder, like there she is.
There she is back there. Beep. Hang on. Things are weird. I'm fixing things for a second. Don't mind me. You keep talking. That's fine.
Okay.
You're.
All right, then I guess I'll start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do that.
I don't know. Like this isn't going to end. Like even though the news isn't showing it or reporting on it until all hell breaks loose, there has been continuous protests in so many cities, and we've come to a point where people have been led to believe that, you know, the fight for inequality and a just society is bad.
Right.
And so they are going out and doing their worst to disrupt and destroy the people doing this. And last night to have at least one, and I've seen reports of two, but never got anything concrete on it. And I've been working today, so I've not been keeping up like I wanted to. But just shot dead because there are people carrying out ruthless acts of violence and senseless acts of violence in the name of some absurd ideal that never existed. And
yeah,
I'm still pissed that people aren't fucking wearing masks and then aren't wearing them properly when they do, so to just have this growing, I'm pissed that the NBA's in a bubble and they put all the Celtics games on times that I don't get to watch. But like to have that kind of just solitary angst amplified every day by just bullshit happenings that are never corrected and never, they were giving the guy fucking water. They let a white kid with an AR-15 just walk away from murder, and they will shoot a man in the back 7 times just to fucking try to make sure he's dead. So I don't know. A lot of days it doesn't feel like getting up and going to work is worth it, and that it's part of the problem. I brought up NBA games, but there was a moment where they did a work stoppage.
Yeah,
and they did a strike, and it had consequences. The fact that LeBron and Chris Paul got in touch with Obama, and he, for at least the second time that we know of, came in and shut down something that would have made more progress than what was going on. First time being shutting down Bernie Sanders by calling everybody and having Klobuchar and Buttigieg and Warren drop out so that Biden could get the thing. That was all Obama's handling. And then to do this, to be like, no, go back to work, because they had him by the balls. Like the NBA is entering the second round of the playoffs, and it's one of those main distractions, because watching baseball from an empty stadium with, pumped in fan noise is not as exciting as watching NBA playoff basketball.
With
regardless of who's
from an
watching,
empty stadium
or whether the crowd is there. Yeah, right. And but there, every time it seems that there's some push towards getting action, then people, not even on the right side, not even the fascists, like the corporate whores, jump in and are just like, no, that's what. We'll make sure that a black guy voices all the cartoon characters that are black. There you go. Satisfied? Are you cool?
Yeah.
No more Aunt Jemima. Happy now? We're still going to fucking kill you ruthlessly. We're still going to give you impoverished education. We're still going to lock you down into a life of servitude and put more of you in prison than ever before. But
we're going to make movies about black superheroes too. So that's better, right?
Yeah, that's, that makes all the difference in the world.
Right.
So it's a lot to comprehend. And if you've ever watched or known me, like my mind don't stop. And so it's harder and harder to escape from these things of just like, how do you, try to make progress and protest when there are people of a certain political disposition who are basically following an ISIS playbook and driving their vehicles through the crowds, trying to kill people. It's dark. It's dark. And I don't know that even after an election, it would change that.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, particularly,
I didn't even have to go off about being happy this week to get into my fucking Angry Michael mode.
No, it's Angry Michael right from the jump this week. We knew it was going to be this kind of week, even before it turned into this kind of week. Yeah, I mean, like we've been talking about, like, I don't know how closely you've been following the world news, but Belarus is just coming off a disputed election, and they're kicking foreign press out of the country, and there's all sorts of unrest in the streets, and it's like that's where we're headed. Like no matter what happens in a couple of months, we're fucked. Yeah, it's shit's gonna get dark, and there's gonna be there's so much repression of the press already. And not just repression, but just pure laziness and pure just corporatist. Yeah.
I mean, every major news corporation is owned by a major conglomerate, a major company. I mean, our own Erie Times News is owned by a hedge fund in New York, and who knows who has their paws in the hedge fund, but I bet it's the same guy that has his paws in like NBC, Comcast, Universal, and like Columbia Broadcasting and Disney and Fox, like all these things that are never going to cover the true nature of anything. I mean, even though the New York Times, for fuck's sake,
it's not
disappointing.
It's not woke progressive people running hedge funds for the most part. It's
right.
It's people with money running hedge funds. You'll find out about hedge funds. I come from a long line of bankers, and that I can tell you, it's people with money who run hedge funds. Hot take.
Yeah, it's sick. It's absolutely sick. Jeff Bezos getting to 200 billionaire, where it's just like every day has the capacity to just save the world, end world hunger, house the homeless in America. Just all of these things that would literally make you a modern time superhero. To just be like, I've made all this money and now I'm going to fix this.
Shout out to Mackenzie.
Not everything.
Mackenzie, what's her face, the ex former Mrs. Bezos, who has been giving away huge amounts of what used to be his money. So feel free to come on the show.
No one makes
former ex Mrs. Bezos.
No one makes that money. No one makes that money on their own. No one does. It's such a myth. This country is so full of shit myths that have caused destruction and just. I mean, this American exceptionalism for one thing that,
and
just read foreign news.
Bootstrap myth of all of these people being
Yeah.
Like, I come from nothing. I only borrowed $1 million from my, real estate mogul parents and built myself up from that. And then, they gave me a bunch more money when I squandered all that money. And, just humble man of the people, telling it like it is.
It's just a
bootstraps.
Yeah, just bootstraps. I mean, just. The absolute poverty that we're about to endure is going to be shocking for a lot of people that have never looked at it or recognized what has been going on before. So they're opening the world back up, and there are jobs that don't exist, and people who are compromised and cannot work, and they are not helping these people. We're not shutting down again, which is just necessary. It is the only way that it stops. We're going to be talking about education again, because that's super important, but look at the colleges around the country. I mean, for fuck's sake, UNC Chapel Hill over a week period had more cases than the country of Germany. And like these Alabama opened up, and their university was just astronomical numbers. I
have
locally,
Alabama I have Alabama in my end times COVID pool, by the way.
They want it.
Yeah.
They want it. So anything good happen with you guys? Did Oscar say something funny? Did Stella achieve some other thing that a person much older than her struggles with? Tell me something good.
Oh, I got nothing good. Oscar wants to be Hamilton for Halloween, because we've, as a family, discovered the Hamilton musical, and Oscar has decided that being Alexander Hamilton would be, although he's been going through this existential crisis about every other show that he watches, like he comes up with someone else that he thinks would be a good Halloween costume. So he had this big sort of existential crisis the other day of, I don't know who I should be for Halloween. Like, whatever, buddy. Be Hamilton.
You're like, just wait until you got to figure out who you want to be for your fucking life, kid. This is the easy part. You could go as Batman every year and no one would give a shit. But you fuck up your personality path and you'll be driving cars through protests and yelling at people because their skin tone is a bit different.
He's been breaking out.
I mean, not your kid. Your kid's
quoting the musical. And breaking out into, I'm Alexander Hamilton, I've got a lot of things I haven't done. Just you wait.
So, yeah, he's ready.
He's ready.
He's ready for his close-up, for sure.
He's going to blow us all away.
Oh, man. Let's run him for office now.
Yeah, we can change that whole...
He'd probably do a much better job of running the country right now than
He would have great signs, great campaign signs, great slogans.
Lots of dinos.
Yeah, dinosaurs on every, a dinosaur in every pot. Yeah.
You too can go to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. I believe it. I'm in it.
And
Oscar Magnus 2020. I don't know. Well, 2040. What is he?
20. Well, he was born in 16, so assuming it stays 35 and they don't, drop the age to like you can run for president at 18 or something. In our, Mountain Dew, Herbert Camacho, whatever future that we're headed to.
Oh, brutal.
So assuming it stays 35, he'd be 35 in 2041. So we got to wait for 2044. We'll do 2044.
2044.
Assuming that...
Cool. Assuming we have a country.
Assuming that there is a 2044 for us to look forward to.
Well, by then we'll be in total global... environmental crisis. So.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just in case, like the everyday injustice and ineptitude that surrounds us, along with the viral pandemic, the Earth is collapsing. I mean, parts of this country are on fire that are just out of control. These hurricanes catching strength and just decimating all over the world. But the water table's rising. It's unreal what is happening, and to even try to compartmentalize and be like, I'm just going to be here today. It seems selfish to not try to be aware of everything that's going on. And like the Open said, you're happy, you can make one other person happy. So,
but what if you're not?
I'll give you $1 if you can fucking make me happy.
That's the challenge for anybody watching, anybody listening, anybody doing whatever. Drop in the comments something that will make Michael happy, and if any of you manage to do it.
No nudity. Nudity doesn't make me happy.
Although,
I'll appreciate it. I mean, I'm not gonna look, fellas, but come on, Adam, whip it out. It's fine. No one's watching.
Maybe later. It's too early.
Ren will have to move the camera back.
It's too early for.
Is it too early for brief nudity? Ah, perfect timing.
Hey, we were just about to start talking about our guests. So we got a show tonight, and we got cool guests tonight. And our first guest who is joining us tonight is Miss Angela McNair. Hi, Angela.
Hello.
You look good. You sound good. Can you flip your phone the other way? That would be awesome.
This way?
Yeah, that way. That's perfect. So hi. We hadn't got into talking about you and that you were going to be joining us and all the fabulous things that you do. So why don't we put on a quick piece of music, catch our breaths, and then we will come back in like 4 minutes and talk to you about everything that's going on in the world. No pressure.
Okay.
Okay. So this is some new music from friend of the show, Sir Nate, talking about. Do we want to talk about hip hop or do we want to talk about the police?
It's whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about the police.
Let's. Yeah, fuck the police.
See you in a minute.
Police. Police is from the Latin politia, meaning civil administration. This is in turn derived from the Greek polis, meaning a city-state. Its use in the modern sense, referring to the office of public law administration in a city or state, first appears in the early 19th century with the emergence of state organizations such as the Marine Police in England, designated with the task of protecting merchandise in the Port of London. Not long after this, the first police forces began to emerge in the United States. In the southern states, the primary functions of the first police forces were to apprehend enslaved persons who had escaped, to suppress their revolts, and to terrorize the enslaved population in an organized fashion. These functions persisted after the end of slavery and the enforcement of Jim Crow laws. The early forces in the northern states were concerned with policing labor and protecting the commercial interests. They safeguarded the transport of private mercantile goods at the public expense, and they were also employed in suppressing union activities and strikes. The subjects of their enforcement were often predominantly minority populations. In both cases, the original objective of policing was to regulate society by eliminating perceived threats to its dominant power structure. And so the history of policing in some sense reflects the original Indo-European root element from which the word is derived, the root tol, which denotes a central enclosed space, a citadel or stronghold. The word implies the representation and enforcement of a centralized power. Therefore, if one feels that one is not represented by such a power, or if one feels that some are excluded from such a center, one's feeling would not be inconsistent with the root of the word, and one may justifiably be moved to defund it from the Latin de and the Latin fundus, to literally remove it from the foundation of society. Police.
Social distancing radio.
That was Sir Nate talking about the police. Who?
All cops are bastards.
Yeah.
Please understand that.
Yeah.
Please understand that they will not help you.
Even your
they
dad,
are not here. To
even
help
your dad,
you.
even the
if
one
you
who
look
is your
like
friend.
Adam and I.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So understand that. Ms. Angela McNair with us now. I mean, maybe you should just introduce yourself how you would like to be known, because Adam and I doing it just seems trite at this point. So, why don't you give the people the bona fides that you think they should know, rather than we could regurgitate about you. We know why we wanted you here.
Well, I'm just me. I'm an activist. I serve on a lot of boards, but not in the traditional sense. I do serve on the Erie School Board. I also serve on the Governor's Advisory Commission for African American Affairs. And I just participated in the first Black National Convention. So,
Oh, wow.
I mean, I do a lot, as far as community work. But I'm kind of different because I'm not like your average politician. I don't even consider myself a politician. I'm more of a advocate and just a loudmouth to, to just like fight back against the people that most people don't normally have access to, that I kind of gain access to them, and then I'm able to advocate for, us regular people who, don't get into all that extra stuff, and we just want stuff to be fair and have access to, everything that we should have to, and, have equality and equity. So I'm just more of a person who I'm able to get my foot in the door so that I can advocate.
I mean, I want to start here because from a national level, but even from a local political level and the people that you have to deal with in question, how do you get rid of the disappointment? Because, you can talk and advocate, but the wheels, when they do turn, don't always turn in that favor, as we've seen over and over again. And then, we were talking in the intro about how Obama came in and stopped the NBA strike that was making progress all over the place, and everything kind of dropped off from that. So when you get to a national level and you're meeting with like-minded people that want to advocate and do these things, but then they don't ever, and they just kind of flush your ideas, how do you keep coming back from that?
It's kind of hard, it can be I'm not gonna lie, it can be very disappointing, because it's kind of like you have this goal, and then the people, the very same people that claim to have the same goal that you have, will trump down on your goal and try to crush it, when it can be quite, I'm just gonna say, annoying and confusing, when you feel like you all are on the same page, and then all of a sudden somebody does something that just totally cancels out everything you guys supposedly believe in. But see, my thing is that I don't, it's a moment of disappointment for me, unlike others who might actually just give up because something didn't happen or go their way. One thing about me is that I don't allow those moments of disappointment to overcome me and control me. To me, it's just, I got to find another way to do it.
That's honorable, and a lot better than I would be.
Oh, trust me, my mouth gets big and crazy sometimes. Like, I can be angry Black woman is how they try to make me seem, but a lot of times they don't make a lot of people that I'm around make zero sense. They have zero interest in doing what's right. They just more so want to be seen and heard rather than doing what's right. But see, how I move is that I don't move in the sense that I need anything from anybody. I make sure that I keep myself sustained so that I don't put myself in a position to have to need favors or need anything from anybody else. So that way I can keep myself real, so that I can keep myself on a straight and narrow path, so that I can really do what I need to do for the people who need it.
You're on the school board, so let's talk about it, because school's about to start perhaps. But like, there's a necessity to have way more Black representation on the school board. Just before any of this happened, before anyone thought of COVID or thought of these riots that finally boiled over because the killing's been going on a long time. But do your goals shift? Does your focus shift? Do you have to double down now where you're advocating for a whole community through your representation on the school board? But now it's just like, fuck, man. Like, what are you going to do? There's so much going on, and there has been so much neglect and so many societal problems that, communities already like 6 feet under, trying to climb up just to reach level ground. And now it's like, boom, like we're kicking you right back down even further to, beyond square one, because you don't all have computers. You don't all have Wi-Fi. You can't all stay home and, and your parents can't stay home and teach you because they've got to go out because they're essential, and so.
And not only that, they don't even know how to teach you because they changed the curriculum so much that we don't even know how to do the math they do now. Or some of the that they do now. They don't. They have
math.
No clue how to. I don't know how to do the new math. I have a master's degree, and I can't teach my kids this math because I have no clue how they're teaching it.
Yeah.
So it's very hard because even though we have a couple more minorities on the school board, I'm still the voice. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like everybody else is so quiet. And a lot of people are really clueless. I'm just going to be honest. A lot of those people on the board are really clueless to what really needs to be said and done. And there's a couple of us on there that have the big mouths that will just say what we want to say. And I'm one of them. And a lot of what I asked for makes sense. And I will say that, me having such a strong voice sometimes works and sometimes it does not work. And it doesn't work because some of the other board members are just so crazy, I'm gonna say, that they just feel like I'm not gonna agree with her because she's young, Black, and a woman,
right?
So like they'll go against something that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like this makes sense, but we're gonna go against it because we don't want a young Black woman to tell us what to do, when in all actuality I'm probably more educated, more business savvy than most of the people that are on there. And not only that, I'm more connected, with the community and with even the schools, because I have kids that go to those schools. So I know as a parent more about what needs to be done than any of these people. It's like y'all are just so I don't even know what some people's problems. It's like let's just disagree with anything that makes sense.
Well, and
I just want to see you throw down a pile of folders and be like, fools.
Well, and you've got
go Adam,
old white guys who have been on the school board for a whole lot of years, and you got some people like yourself and like friend of the program Tyler Titus, who was with us a few weeks ago, and that's if you're an old white guy who's invested in this sort of old white guy means of power, that's got to be kind of threatening to what you're used to having be the way things are done and the way the hierarchy of the way things have always worked in your life.
But you know what? I feel like some people are on the board because they know they're going to get elected to the board.
Yeah.
Period.
Sure.
They do nothing in the community. They do nothing for anybody, but they know the name recognition sits there. So they know that every time they run, they will be the one who gets elected. And just like the people who moved off the board that go and run for city council, they know that their name is recognized. They have no real plan for whatever seat that they're sitting in. They just know that they're going to be elected. And it's time to stop doing that. And I'm not saying elect just anybody, because there's a lot of young minorities out here that don't know what they're talking about either. I'm saying elect somebody who makes sense and stop looking past those people because you don't feel they're worthy of, you know, your acknowledgement. But when what makes sense makes sense. And you know, I don't speak about a lot of things unless it makes sense to the situation. Even with the schools, you know, reopening and things like that, a lot of things were not figured out, you know, and a lot of things that I spit out there, you know, are things that we're doing, you know, whether they want to acknowledge it or not. You know, the things that are being spoken about are things that I've said, the concerns, because even as a childcare provider, you know, I had to bring to their attention a lot of things that they weren't even thinking about. You know, you're not even thinking about taking temperatures or hand sanitations or sanitizing things. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what were you thinking about? So it's just it's just interesting to watch. Sometimes heartbreaking and sometimes rewarding to just, you know, have to be in the mix of all of what's going on, because, you know, when you're somebody who isn't out for personal gain and you get involved in this type of situations, it's very interesting. Just put it like that, because I have nothing to gain by helping, you know, and it's hard for people to swallow the pill that, you know, somebody is genuinely trying to do the right thing in the community. And it's just like, now everybody's suspicious of you because you actually want to help people and not just try to help yourself.
Yeah, it's like there's got to be a catch. You know, if your end game isn't, I'm going to do this, so next cycle I can run for city council. So then next cycle after that I can run for mayor and lose because there's 17 people running for mayor. It's like,
Right. And I really, like, honestly, next year this is my last year.
Okay.
So I really honestly don't even know. I know that I really don't even know if I'm going to run for school board again. And I don't even know I don't even know if I'm going to run for something, period, next year when my time is over.
Yeah.
I just know that I want to do what needs to be done now to set up whoever takes my seat, if they take my seat, or whatever I do. I just want to know that I left the school board, or I, you know, whatever, you know, my time there was well spent. That's all I know. I'm not setting myself up for nothing in the future. I just want to make sure that things are right before I go, if I go.
Yeah, and what do you do when school can't open now? You know?
It's really hard because these parents have I'm not saying it in a critical way, but it's difficult. It's difficult for me because I have two daughters who have autism who do not speak. And you can't sit them in front of Chromebook for 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
You can't sit them in front of a Chromebook for 5 minutes a day. They're going to be you know, I know health and safety comes first, you know, especially when your plans are not solid, you know, when you don't really have a real grasp on exactly what you're going to do when these kids come in and how you're going to separate them and how you're going to do everything. You know, I know that some schools they got desk shields and cubbies and all that stuff set up. We don't have all that stuff set up. So in my eyes, it's better to provide safety first and get a true solid plan before you start just bringing kids back in here all randomly, then bring them in and just cause a coronavirus disaster. But I did advocate for the special needs students to get in there first. That was my advocacy. That was my plan, and I'm very glad they agreed with me. But I feel like sometimes they have no choice because nobody else has any ideas that's really solid. But I feel for the parents. because a lot of parents were planning on going back to work this week.
Sure.
And they can't, or they're going to come out of pocket and have to pay all this money for childcare, or it's just going to be wild. It's going to be wild. Like, I don't even know. Like, I know OCY has been getting so many calls because parents are already having to go back to work. I just think it's going to be bananas.
Well, and you talk about other schools having installed all these shields and all of this stuff, and that's obviously a different kind of consideration for a district like Erie that obviously, the financial issues of Erie School District have been, well documented and plenty talked about, but as opposed to a district, a suburban district that's, got more cash to throw at problems like this, where it's like, oh, well, we'll just install this and we'll just install that. And, we've got, all this money to throw at whatever our problems are. That's not an approach that Erie can take.
Yeah, but let's give Nick Scott more tax breaks. It'll be fine. That'll make it work.
But you know what? With us starting online, there's going to be a lot of people furloughed. Don't get it messed up. There's money. We're not getting cut any funding on the amount of money that we're getting. So I feel like there should be some redirection of funds, because all the staff is not coming back.
Yeah.
Everybody's not coming back that normally will be there, and you're doing everything online. So I know there's going to be a cost to getting Chromebooks, but at the same time, some of that money from the furloughs and things like that, can go towards, the protective gear and things that need to be, because even if you're taking, you got to think the high school kids and the middle school kids aren't going back till next year.
Oh, wow.
So some of that funding can be used to do some protective things in those schools, like putting up the things that we need, putting up more hand sanitation stations, putting up some hand washing stations and things like that. And those are things that I throw out there during meetings, because there's going to be some money that can be reallocated towards some other things.
Do you find that this year could just be a complete loss? That we're going to try to go back, and it's not everywhere else that they've done it. They can't make it work. It doesn't matter if they got shields or not. They can't make it work. And does it feel like, what, man, maybe you're not going to 5th grade this year. Sorry, and at the same time, I'd never thought about, because I don't have it in my life, but I've never thought about special needs of the whole spectrum, that, you can't put them into childcare. You can't not have someone working with them to develop what's there. So there's this whole strata of people that do need to go to school, and that parents that do need their children to be watched, but can't even pay for childcare. And what daycare center is going to be open and able to take on the onslaught of children that they can't, have that many people in their house as it is?
Right.
It's going to be bananas. It's going to be crazy. But that's why I advocated for the special needs students. Not because I have special needs students in my household, because I honestly wasn't even sure if I was going to send my kids back, even though they are in autistic support classrooms, just because they can't wear a mask. But once I found out there's only going to be 50 students in their school, I'm a little bit more comfortable with that. But this is crazy, because they get all their services that they need at school. They get their PT, they get their OT, they get their speech, they get a lot of stuff. And there's students with disabilities that need to be in school. Their parents, their siblings cannot watch them. They need to be there to get their services. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? But it's just a lot to digest. But I'm just happy that they agreed to let those students go back. it's just, you know, I feel like our district should have been a little bit more prepared for anything, whether we weren't going back or whether we were going back. I just think that the plan was not as solid as it should have or could have been. But I think at this point we have forced them, I know I have, to do a lot more critical thinking. And hopefully, you know, I don't know what was going on, but I know that a lot of things that I brought up was not thought about. And we have not been in school since March. So I'm just a little confused, but I know that, you know, the board is not supposed to micromanage the administration, but at this point I'm a micromanage whatever I need to micromanage because y'all acting crazy.
Please do.
Y'all are acting crazy, you know, and I got all these kids that go to school, and then it's all the kids I know that go to school, and as a daycare provider, we cannot have all those kids in there because we got to be safe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're not going to push them off on us either. You know, and I honestly feel like these kids need to be somewhere, you know, but there's not you know, if you're following CDC guidelines as a provider, you can't have 1 million kids in your daycare either.
Right.
So we got to figure it out because those kids got to be somewhere because they cannot be sitting at home by themselves. You know, it's just, I just feel like that's why I push for the elementary school students to go back first, because those are the ones that still can't read, can't count. You know what I'm saying? So at least we get the kids back in the classroom that still need those foundational skills. You know, as far as elementary who are, you know.
Oh. Oh, Angela, we're hardly getting you.
Yeah, we
Oh man. Oh. Yeah, Angela, you're breaking up and then freezing and coming back in. So there you go. Kind of back.
Yeah, we got you now. There you go.
Yeah, we got you now. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we got you. And so we missed probably the last 20 seconds, but yeah.
Yeah, my goal is to get those elementary school students back, because those are the ones who need it the most. Because, you know, I know that there's a concern that our older students are going to be just running the streets or whatever like that, but I need those kids in there that can't read to get in there and learn how to read, count, all of that first.
Kids who can't make themselves a sandwich, who can't, you know, even
right,
provide for
like
themselves.
You're talking about kindergarten through 5th grade being at home alone.
Yeah. Question: do you know anything about the charter schools that are associated with our districts and how they're handling things? Speaking of kids who are the most in need,
they are back in session. They are playing games. They have those kids back in school. They're making them, you know, they're doing all the mask and things like that. I'm curious to see, you know how things go, the numbers and things like that. But I know they're all back in full force. Catholic schools are back in full force. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, how things go.
Our middle child attends a charter school, but she goes to MRCS. And we don't know. All we know so far is that it will be all online learning for the first quarter. We have orientation. They're doing orientation Monday and Tuesday of this week. They're supposed to start on September 8th. We know nothing.
Yeah,
we know nothing about the hours, what's going to be required of them. Nothing. Now
my 11-year-old goes to that school. My 11-year-old goes to that school. So
do you know anything?
I have twins that are 10. I have an 11-year-old boy, and then I have a 15-year-old boy that goes to Erie High School, and then I have a 17-year-old girl that goes to collegiate. So I got them all over the place.
Oh, okay.
So it's real wild. It's wild. He's like wild.
We have our middle one is at MRCS going into 3rd grade. Our oldest just finished at MRCS, and she's gonna go to J.S. Wilson. She's transitioning to Wilson.
Her mom lives in Mill Creek, so she's going to Mill Creek.
And then our son, he worked in Meadville, so he took him to preschool in Meadville. until
wow.
shutdown.
But I've been working from home since March, and I'm
So
gonna be.
he's not going to Meadville.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're not exactly quite sure what to do with our 3-year-old,
So-
but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And,
But it's August 30th, and we know nothing.
Right. I'm just trying to figure out what was all these people doing since March, because people been going to work and getting paid.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Yep.
And
Like,
I
what
got a
y'all
lot of
doing
teacher
all
friends
day?
too, and they seem like they've been really busy.
Yeah, it's like, what was y'all doing? I asked a couple people, what was y'all been doing?
Yeah.
Y'all in there having
Well-
golf tournaments in the hallways? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. I mean, to have it be such a clusterfuck to start with, you know,
Right.
to have them be closing schools and to have them be tearing down programs and just hurting communities, and then to not respond to something like this. Fuck. I mean, you better run next year, because who the fuck's going to replace you?
Yeah.
You know? Honestly, I mean, you better recruit 3 other people, but then make them move to another district or another neighborhood so they can run. Like, man, this is crazy. Like, what? Not knowing a future, what do you do next? How do you start planning budgets? How do you start even thinking about those things? Or does it just stop? I mean, because times are so crazy.
Listen, this is my thing though. When you talk about the needs, like people are still getting money. So
Yeah.
you're still getting the money that you're going to get anyway. So like, and if you're forced to like lay people off, and you know you're not having the same costs that you got, of course you have protection costs, but at the same time it's still gonna be like I need somebody to figure something out here.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of get, you know, looked at a certain way, because I ask those questions that make sense. Like,
Well,
what's
and
going
there's
on here?
and there's gonna be this savings on operational expenses too.
Right.
Like, yes, you still own all the buildings, but like you're not using the water, you're not heating these buildings. There's not, you know, all this stuff that's involved in keeping the lights on. You know, those
and you're
are all
still getting all your funding from the state and the federal government, so you're not missing a beat as far as money.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So, what are you doing? I ask those questions, like, what are you doing? Like, I want to know where the money's going, you know, because it ain't going to me, and I don't want it to go to me. I want it to go where it's supposed to go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when people ask different questions, I know there's some other board members that are on that same tip though. You know, they're like, where the money going? You know what I'm saying? We laying off 50 people. Where's all this money going?
Right.
You know, we want to know. So trust me, I'm on it, and other people are on it too. But my thing is, even if you're not bringing high school and middle school students back till next year, there's I feel like there's plenty of extra money to make sure these elementary school students are safe, and that you're preparing for those students to come back, because students need to be in school. They need to be there for just so many reasons, educationally, socially, physically, so they can eat, because some kids don't even eat unless they're at school.
Right.
It's just so many reasons, and with winter coming up, man, we got to be doing something, you know, or we got to at least be having some people out here checking on these kids to make sure that they're okay.
I mean, how fucking stupid that this has been going on. Like, we've known this. Like, we've known that there are children that don't have hot meals unless they're at school. We know that there are children that do not get to socialize with anyone unless they're at school. You know, like, they do not get any attention. And to now have a situation where you cannot have that. And where is, you know, why is the school board taking this on alone when, the city could just forgive so many things at this point, or at least delay so many things, or at least offer cooperation on so many things, because it's absolutely clear that without an education, then you're pointless. And I do think that that's part of the cycle, though, that you were talking about earlier from name recognition. Like when you don't fund schools and people are dumb as fuck, they'll just be like, I've heard this guy's name,
Right,
again and again and again. And so they never ask questions, and those people never change anything, because that they might get mentioned in the newspaper, and then their name would mean something if they finished anything. But and then, you know, so they just want to keep it stupid. So you know what? If you don't find a good replacement, you got to run next year.
Hey, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about other offices as well. You know, I just was on the news with like the mayor, Bishop Brock, and a couple other people, the police chief or somebody.
Andre was
so
here, right?
you know, I mean, no disrespect. You know, you got people on
No,
here.
much disrespect.
All the disrespect.
Fuck all those people that you just mentioned. Like Mayor Stave Puff, like what?
She's like, I'm not saying that. I am not saying that.
I will let you say that.
Listen, let me tell you something.
Fucking
anybody who can get on TV and tell me or anybody else that they're gonna cure racism,
right?
I'm gonna have to question you just a little bit, because I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, from behind their men's warehouse suit.
How are you doing it? Please tell me how you're gonna do it, buddy, because I just don't see it happening. Like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
You hired a couple people, a couple minorities, and now you have cured racism. Oh my gosh. Like
why didn't we all think of that?
Well, you got the Nobel Peace Prize.
I was like, what are you even talking about? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? I think I even said it at the end of the interview. I was like, what are you even talking about? Like, you're in the position to literally create policies that can at least combat racism. You're not going to cure it. You can't go in people's brains and just cure it. Like,
oh, come on, Angela. Suddenly you're not even black. I can't even see you as that anymore. Right?
What are you talking about? but as a policymaker, well, you know, the city council is the ones who's approving all of these things. But as somebody who is in a position to present these things, you shouldn't even make those type of statements. You should just be you should be talking about things that you're going to present, policies that you want to create with the city that can create some equity, that can
oh no, we're losing you.
You can't make statements like you're going to cure racism.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
There's a lot of magical thinking going on in this administration.
Yeah, it's like
magical thinking.
I feel like I'm in La La Land sometimes.
Yeah. It's like we'll just wish this away, you know.
Right. What are you talking about?
We'll do our couple of feel good things, and then all of this will be better because a wizard did it.
Well, there's something to be said for youthful idealism, but seasoned hyper idealism.
Like let's let youthful idealism.
Let's all just hold hands and sing Kumbaya or something.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be gone.
Like there's now video of police murdering black people when we've seen the stories and we've seen the videos for decades. Do you remember Rodney King, anyone? Because I do. And this is just decades of evidence of not just racism, but just a systemic hatred amongst the population of this country that will never, ever get over it. That will never see you as a person, Angel. I mean, I can imagine just being on the school board, and I'm not calling anyone out. I'm just saying that hypothetically, some old white person on school board may have grown up with a different understanding of melanin content than you and I have. And it may make them angry in a certain way that they can't understand, that you should be sitting at the same table as them. And I don't know how you can do that and yet still be right. That must feel awesome to just know that someone goes home and gets mad about you every day.
Yeah.
That did the things that they must say.
The black lady was
right
right again
in front
today.
of their wife and their friend. Yeah. Oh.
They just don't like to even hear me breathe. They don't want to breathe. You're like,
they like wearing masks.
Like, don't talk. You like, what are you even saying? I'm like, first of all, I had like as many votes as you did. Like, what are you even talking about? These people act like I literally didn't have to run for office and get elected. Like somebody just told me to come sit at the table. No, I had to run for office and get elected just like you did. So who are you to act like, you know, you're better than me when I went through the same process as you did, and somebody and 10,000 people said put her on that board with you because actually she knows what she's talking about more than you do. These people are nuts. Like I say it publicly. Like there's a lot of people who are elected who should not be, and I'm not saying it to empower other people who shouldn't be elected either, because there's other people who think they should be elected who should not be elected either.
Yeah, like politicians are not your friends or movie stars. They are servants sent there by you to do a job that you cannot because you're doing other things. So there have been people doing not their job in this city since, I don't know. I mean, maybe Savakio got some shit done, maybe. But since the mafia ran this town as an open city, nothing has been done since the Tullio administration that's been of any worth. And look at what they did to that guy. He's now the fucking Erie Insurance Arena. He doesn't get his own fucking place anymore.
Taken away.
So yeah, so that's there's your personal sacrifice. If you think you're doing this because you're going to get a civic center named after you, just wait 10 years and some fucking conglomerate will come in and put their name on it and say, fuck you, Lou Tullio. Here's a plaque.
That's why you want like an urban garden named after you.
Yeah, right? That's someday I'll have an urban garden named after me, and that'll be the most urban I'll ever be. But to just
you
know,
live closer to downtown than we do.
To just know, like that people hate you just because of who you are, not even the content of your character, but just the color of your skin. Just think about that, and that you're there, like you're the future now, right? Like these guys are going to die. Their ideas are going to die and diminish, even though there are lots of young fucking racist scumbag Nazis that you should always punch a Nazi, always punch a Nazi. But
kids,
I mean, but as these people die and they get replaced, that's where a lot of that fear comes from. But that racism is real, and especially in Erie, it's weird here. It's very really weird here as opposed to other cities. And I mean, everything's different here because of Hammer Mill and GE dumping into the lake and us drinking it for decades. But like there is something just the patina of racism in Erie is just because the black population in this town isn't even the median of the country. You know, there are places in Kansas that have a higher percentage in the middle of nowhere than we do in a metropolitan city on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And there is still so much blame and the over policing and the under education and the underfunding and we're going to build a bayfront connector and gentrify your town. Oh, and then we're going to build an insurance company and gentrify your town. And oh, we're going to have an insurance company run a hospital and gentrify your community and your neighborhoods over and over and over again.
Right.
Oh,
and then get mad because you got elected to school board.
They sound like we should name an arena after them.
The Louis J. Tullio Erie Insurance Arena. I'm calling it. I bet the Bayhawks could play there.
Yeah.
Listen, you're so right. Like you're so right. Like you're so right. Like Erie is Erie. It's a strange little city. I'm here. I'm here to help. I'm here to empower. I'm here to try to. But it's very hard to get past it's hard to get past the strangeness, the train of thought that people have, you know, acquired and kept in this city. It's just like a sickness. It's very peculiar and it's just really weird. Like Erie could, you know, if people would just not be stuck in their ways And, you know, we could really have a good city here. It's just so strange how it's just strange. You know, it's just strange. And then it's just strange how we just keep letting it happen over and over again when we are in such a position that we could really be different. But because nobody wants to let go of that little bit of power that they have or the little bit of advantage that they have, whether it be white or black, we get stuck right where we are. Because
absolutely.
Because the black people that have a little bit of power or a little bit of influence, it seems like they use it for themselves instead of trying to stick together and trying to help everybody else. It's like, no, I have a voice, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to use it for me. And it annoys people that that's not who I am, because I don't need that. You know, I built my own self to be financially stable so that I don't have to worry about any crumbs somebody's going to give me to turn my back against the rest of my community. That's something I will never do.
Yeah, it seems pretty arrogant that someone would spend all this time trying to get into the house and then forget to go back into the field again.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why you have to reach back and grab everybody you can to come with you. Don't ever forget that. And a lot of people that feel like they've made it somewhere tend to forget that. And then the people that haven't made it anywhere tend to villainize those who are trying to be real with them and put those who are not on a pedestal. And that's what we have to stop doing that. We have to start thinking. Everybody has to start thinking on both ends, you know, on how we can become united, have more collaborative efforts. I've seen the community centers starting to do that, though. I will give credit to most of the community centers, not all, that have actually finally woke up and said, hey, we're better together. And they've actually been doing better together. You know, they haven't had to all move in one building in order to make this thing work. And I really respect that. You know, they finally come together and started doing that. But we as a community have to continue to make those type of moves. And then we have to be placing some demands on these people who can, you know, do things for us. Because, you know, like I was on the broadcast with the mayor and I'm like, yo, you can't just tell me what you're going to do for me. You got to come out here and see what we really need in order to know what you can do for me. You can't just guess what Black people need. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like they try to guess what we need, and then you're going to come in and save us like you're Superman or something. No, you don't even know what I need as a Black woman in the middle of the hood trying to make it. You don't know that. You can't just tell me. You know what I'm saying? And then you're going to figure it out for me. No, you're not. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a lot of different aspects that need to be addressed in order to even do anything. Because when you have all these people living in La La Land who are just making up their own little scenarios instead of addressing the real issues and seeing what people really need, then you're not going to make as many steps forward as you think you're going to make.
Angela, run for anything. Just stay in office. Please. I mean, you're really good at, you know, just that angry citizen. I won't even say angry Black woman. I'll say angry citizen, because one of the things that bothers me so much is that people think that equality means that they somehow lose something. Like if Black kids get the same education that white kids get, no one loses anything. Right. I mean, except white kids on the court, because what? Who else is gonna hoop? But jokes. But like, I can't see this kind of. I know exactly where it comes from. I know exactly the seeds that planted it to just be like, if we let other minorities in, we lose. And what we lose is the right to ignore and order people around and dismiss, which is, you know, I don't know, some kind of power that I can't understand why it's so fascinating when it would be so much better to hear from and see from everyone.
Right.
You know, like to miss out. There's a thinking exercise about how much knowledge and progress we've lost by the children we haven't educated. You know, by the people that were never given a chance, you know, because of a perceived disability, or also the color of their skin, or, you know, their religion, or whatever it may be. But especially around here, to know so many bright smiling faces in, you know, first and second grade that don't make it past junior high because they don't need a babysitter anymore and they can just go, but they got pushed down. They got, you know, fried, you know, bad teacher, low funding, nothing to spark them, you know. The programs that they love get cut and they never get to see it again. And now they got to deal with a pandemic, and now they got to deal with the creeping fascism and the overt racism and the thoughts that, you know what, the next time a cop pulls over, it might be me or my cousin or my father or anyone else that I know, because, you know, I don't know, but I think every day that you get up, our city's better for it, because at least you're, you know, you're on the path and you take disappointment a lot better than I do.
That's why we don't put you on boards, Michael.
Yeah, I don't even plank. I shouldn't be boarding anywhere at all.
Well, should we take a quick break so Michael can go smoke a cigarette? And Angela, can you hang out with us for some more of the show? We'll get our second guest in here, and we'll have some more chatting. All right. Well, let's get into a little film. This is from friend of the program, Item Theftable. We'll get our second guest, Mr. Alton Northup, in here, and we'll come back and have some more chats with you all in a few. Social distancing variety hour.
Social distancing variety hour. That'll be the day.
Social distancing variety hour.
Social distancing variety hour. I am Michael. That's
I'm Adam.
Adam. Angela is still with us, and pleased to welcome to the show our friend and yours, Alton Northup. Hello, sir. How are you? I'm great.
Good,
Before I make jokes about it being past your bedtime, let's talk a little bit about you, because in your short life you have surpassed many of the dreams that I have already given up on. So let's talk a little bit about you, and then we'll get into some serious questions with adult themes.
Okay. So
yeah, I mean, how old are you? Where are you from? What are you doing? Why would Adam and I waste our time having you on the show?
Yeah, so I'm 17. I turned 18 in October, and since I was like 14 in 8th grade, I've been really interested in politics and government. I volunteered for my first campaign at the age of 14. That was with Jay Brenneman when he ran for mayor, and then my freshman year, I did a walkout at Collegiate for gun violence. And then because of that, I got invited to a roundtable discussion of the governor's cabinet, where we discussed ways to prevent school shootings and increase safety in schools.
And good job, since no other kids have been killed by guns in schools since then. So good job on the governor and you.
Yeah. It clearly has worked. Yeah. And then
I mean, thanks for trying.
Earlier. Yeah, I did. It was a noble cause. So I've volunteered for campaigns here and there, volunteered at the Dem office. Recently, I had done a petition with my classmate because the superintendent tried to remove our dean. So we did a petition. It got over 6,000 signatures. We did a couple of protest symbols of that, like our hashtag I will die for the bow tie stuff, and it was on the news for that a lot. And then also did a little bit of a campaign of Empower Erie when we did like the final push to get the community college here. And then recently I've just been featured in national news.
Yeah, let's talk about that for people that don't watch news, because it's depressing. So please.
Yes. So okay, so I often ask for their permission. They kind of just show up one day from work and they see that the yard's covered in signs. And this year I was starting to get our signs out. So at my dad's house, we had a Joe Biden sign in our yard. At my mom's house, we had a Black Lives Matter sign, a Joe Biden sign, and then some other signs that were up further towards our house.
Because it's a lot easier to put signs in your mom's yard than it is your dad's.
Yeah. So yeah, you get a lot more there. So I had the Joe Biden sign at my dad's, and like the first week it was there, it went missing. At first, I thought he had brought it inside. I thought maybe he didn't want it out there, but then I found out all my neighbors had theirs stolen too. So then I did get one back, and I also put up a flag, a Joe Biden flag in the meantime, because it took a couple weeks to get a new sign. And then at my mom's house, I was coming home one day, and our Black Lives Matter sign and our Biden sign were gone. She had not known. She said it was there that morning, so that meant that someone took it in broad daylight. And our neighbor had security footage of it. He had just gotten his security camera installed that week. And so then he sent it over, and we posted on Facebook.
Shout out to Corey. Alton, by the way, we can say this like without revealing too much about the location of the secure bunker here that we do the show from. Your mom's house is 2 doors down from us and Michael.
Oh yeah, the three of us are within a block.
We all live in the same block. You, me, and Michael. So.
I could run over and knock on the door and come back and still make the end of the show.
Yeah. So let's go to the security camera and
let's go to the footage.
Let's go to the footage and see what we saw.
Oh, I can't wait.
And I was narrating that for Michael and Angela, who couldn't see the footage. But yeah, guy drives up, parks right at the end of your driveway, jacks your signs out of the yard, and takes off. So shout out to Corey. Hi, neighbor Corey.
But one fact that I'd like to point out, because usually in journalism and in headlines and in news reports, they forget this fact in certain people, but mention it in others. It was a white guy.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a man. It wasn't just some guy stealing signs. It was a white guy stealing signs. So let's start, if we're going to start making those delineations on one side, let's make them on both, because like that's how, this is how fascism rolls. So Alton, it's dog shit to have to vote for Biden because he's not even a compromise, but it is the lesser of two evils. Like, I would rather a corporatist at least put lube on before they fuck me than a fascist just rape me and move on. So, but for you, at 17 years old, like you didn't even see 9/11, so you don't even know what life was like at one point, and then what changed it, and then how they used that change to make it worse. And it has just been progressively worse throughout your lifetime. And you've already worked on failed campaigns for people and things that you believe in. So at 17, how jaded are you? And now you're getting signs stolen by gimpy white dudes.
Yeah. It's like the phrase, getting kicked when you're already down.
Yeah.
So
if Biden's already only the best guy, we've got to put signs out for it.
Enthusiastic about the Biden campaign.
Like, four of you, not even one Biden.
So shout out to neighbor Corey, who got you the security footage, which you put up on your Facebook.
I was trying to be enthusiastic. I was like, we got to get these signs out.
There's a glitch in the Matrix.
There is a glitch in the Matrix.
And we're living through it, and it's awful.
Yeah.
So you found your signs?
Yeah. So I posted the video on my personal Facebook, and then on the Biden for Pennsylvania Facebook group, and it kind of blew up in the Biden for Pennsylvania Facebook group. It got thousands of views, over like 1,600 likes on it, and over 600 shares within like a 2-day span. I posted it there, and then my dad made some posts, and those found their way into the Facebook group. And so I went to bed knowing that I posted the security footage. I wake up the next morning, my dad sends me a text. He's like, there's 300 comments in an hour. We might be from Erie. I think we're going to find the guy. The comments were not helpful at all finding the guy. It was mostly just a bunch of people saying, he did you communist.
Fuck that guy.
Well, but you eventually did get a comment that somebody was like, oh, yeah, that's my neighbor or something, right?
Which there are a lot of people who think that having a Black Lives Matter sign makes you racist. Don't understand that. I was like 40 minutes after my dad texted me, someone requested to, usually people who aren't going to be very kind to me. But so I did check it, and he said that he was hired to do work at the guy's house, and he saw the signs in the back of the guy's truck. Right? He was really happy. He went and scoped it out because he wanted to confront the guy. Decided to take the signs, instead of doing something better with his life. So my dad scoped it out, saw the signs there. He picked my brother and I up, and then pulled outside of his driveway, saw the signs. We went and grabbed those first, and then we tried getting him to come outside because he was home. We knew what cars he owned, and so he was there. Lights were on.
No kidding, Joe. Yeah, your dad's.
My dad can be kind of intimidating, but it would have been nice to have a little.
So he declined to discuss the situation, is the way I understand it.
Yes.
But we do have some very dramatic footage of you taking your signs back from the bed of his pickup truck. So let's go to the tape.
Found the guy. There they are. Grab those. Go.
Wow.
So how are your signs? Are they're back in? I've seen them. I mean, they're right over there. I can. They're back in the yard.
They were a bit damaged. We had to bend the frames back, but they're back.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. And after all this went down, I understand the Washington Post ended up reaching out to you about this.
Yeah. So I woke up one morning, which was more like afternoon. But,
that's why you kids should be in school.
I was getting ready to go to work, and I always check my emails. I'm never really expecting anything in my emails. I never really expect anything interesting in my emails because I'm only 17. But I do check them every morning.
Only boomers email.
But I saw something from the Washington Post. I'm like, oh, I don't. Yeah. So like, I don't subscribe to the I didn't subscribe at that time. I subscribe now. But I didn't subscribe to them, so it was kind of interesting. It was them asking to do an interview with me, and they said that they had seen the video where I got my signs stolen and went back to get them, and I couldn't believe it at first. And I don't know how they got my email. Like they must have the most insane database ever to try to
know something
track me down and get my email. But
I mean, we found you, and we're not even professional journalists.
But so it was pretty crazy.
Sometimes your email is attached to your social media.
And sent me her cell phone number and asked me to.
So that was in. It finally made the Washington Post over the weekend, and.
So and we set up an interview.
And it made the Washington Post over the weekend. It was like a big story about. People all over Pennsylvania and the sort of epidemic.
We're all in the same fucking neighborhood, and it's like Alton's in Baghdad. Like there's this delay, and it's all what a mess.
Well, maybe it's also all in the same neighborhood, and it's like some kind of feedback loop.
We've already used up all the internet. There's none left for
So like, what happened? Like. So, was this a neighbor who stole it? Wow.
So Alton, was it Angela was asking?
He did in Mill Creek, like.
Of course he did.
Of course he did. What the hell was he doing on our street?
Yeah.
Right.
So
like,
he drove. Yeah, I have no idea. I know he wasn't working down here because he works in Fairview. I figured that out from.
He was probably paying his parking ticket at City Hall.
You want to know how the Washington Post found your email, but you know that this dude works in Fairview?
Right. Like you.
Oh, he'll be back.
We've lost Alton.
But is that creepy? Like, is it creepy? Do you think he was like following your social media or something? Like,
I think dude was driving around picking up all the signs he could.
Yeah,
and I don't think it was
in the back of the truck.
Yeah, I mean, you guys didn't see the video of them stealing them back, but they were the only two in the back of the truck. So I don't know if it's like somebody who, Alton will tell us more about. Oh, he's back. Hi, welcome back. Alton,
that's
bless him. you know, you're an outspoken person on social media and stuff, and you know, your mom and dad have stuff to say on social media too. So, you know, maybe it's somebody who, you know, saw a post on something and was like, "Ah,
These fucking Zoomers don't know how to use the internet.
I will say that they are discreet about where they live, though.
Yeah.
So I kind of think it was a random hit. And I will also say that I put into like the Democratic Party locally to get us signs weeks and weeks ago, and they haven't come. And I keep thinking, oh, I should order some. But I'm like, you know, the day I order them, they're going to show up in the yard. So I just wonder if we would have got hit too, because we don't have any signs up. I feel a little bad about that. And I guess like I'm just going to give in and order some.
There's a Biden sign in my front yard, and I mean,
your roommate put it there.
I mean, it's sure. I want to put a sign next to it that's just like, because why? What else?
Yeah.
You know,
well,
like
I remember,
like what are
you know, 4 years ago I wish I had gotten one, but they made a line of bumper stickers that said "Okay, Hillary," I guess.
Yeah.
And this is like, and you know, this is like that times however many you want to, you know, however many you want to call it,
But Angela, you see it, and I mean, you've been talking about it, not just the name recognition, but also like depending on where you are and who you are, you have to live this completely milquetoast life to get into politics, because otherwise they'll find that thing, and you know, and that one thing that they can just be like, disqualifying, you know, like you didn't grow up here, you don't, you know, you didn't belong to this club, you didn't live in this neighborhood, and you know, aside from
you didn't go to Our Lady of whatever with me.
Yeah. Hopefully Alton's back to educate us, but we're talking about the local politics of it. But I mean, Angela, it's is it just getting more people to run? I mean, because your kind of like progress in this town, your history in this town, because there's so few, like, because we're so far behind, you know.
So it's just like, it's really tricky with me. If you can't find any like real dirt on somebody, then you start not liking them because they're a woman or they're black, or, you know, now it's something external instead of some sneaky little scam somebody might be running. But so, you know, you can't find anything on me, so now you gotta just pick with me because I'm black and a woman, and you think I'm younger than you think I'm younger than I am. I'm not really as young as you probably think I am. So you try to pick on those little things. But it's also finding somebody who's savvy as well. So you can't just go find the first minority person that you see.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you need somebody that
I hope the young Dems are listening.
Yeah,
anyway.
You need to have somebody who's not in areas kind of hard for you to be. I noticed that a lot of younger people are like really aggressive, and I understand where their aggression comes from. But you have to be really careful when you display it. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to come off the wrong way, because you want to get your message across without always seeming like the angry person that's out here. But at times it's necessary to get your point across. But it's just, you got to do some research, because what they'll do is they'll catch you up on what you don't even know. You know, it can't be all your opinion. You actually have to know something, believe it or not. You gotta actually have to know something.
Well,
you actually have to know, not just stuff about Erie. You gotta research, like, you know, what's going on around the country, what the really needs are, and then you actually have to relate to people in the community. And that's where sometimes people go wrong at, is that, you know, they have these strong opinions, but they haven't really talked to anybody around here. And in order to help a community, you have to know it. You have to go out there and be in it. You can't just always be the boss. You have to volunteer. You have to talk to people. You can't be scared of them. You can't be judgmental. You got to have an open mind. That's one of the number one things that you got to have, is when you're to be genuine in this thing, is to have an open mind and to actually, you know, reach out to the people who you're supposedly helping. Because if you don't even know what the people are voting for you need, or the people in the community that that you're in need, then you're pretty much just doing it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that's what a lot of people do it for, their self, because you have no clue what the people in 16503 need, but yet and still you're speaking for them. You can't speak for people that you don't know or haven't tried to reach out to.
Absolutely. And I think that's why representation, and not just of color and religion, but of sections of this town, is so crazy. And the fact that so many, well, all the cops and so many teachers and other civil servants don't live in the city, and especially don't live on the east side. And what Erie has done to the east side over forever, ever since the Polish people moved out, like the last ones to go, like ever since, it's awful. Like, this town is a paradise, and you're right. And I agree with you. And I was so happy when you said it, but this place is different. We could run a completely socialist, equitable society out of here just based on the peninsula. We could knock down the convention center and the Scott's new fucking hotel that only 6 rooms face the bay. Are you fucking kidding me? How many tax breaks did they get? How much funding isn't going to the schools because these fucking assholes built an Applebee's on stilts that you can rent, and only 6 of the rooms face the bay? Like, the whole reason to have a hotel down there, all those hotels in the convention center, and you can't even look at the fucking bay. What a fucking sham after all this. So we tear all that down and we build a real community out of it, with nightlife and excitement and shopping in the downtown, on the lake, the whole reason to fucking live here, because it's not the climate and it's certainly not the friendliness. So, we do all these things that could make this easy. Oh, Alton, you look beautiful, man. It's so good to see you. And
yeah, that's so much better.
Sign up for Uncle Michael's socialist newsletter, where I just go off about how everything could be beautiful and fun, and I'll help you solve a racism and give you candy.
Yeah,
it'll be great. Just fucking, as long as your check clears.
Just watch for the white van that says Uncle Michael's socialist.
It'll take your sign.
Oh, of course the van's white. Alton, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, no. So just go, man. Like, the world's a fucking mess, man. You're coming of age. Like, you're at a, like, I've been doing a lot of reflective thinking. Because I'm mentally ill, and I just get trapped inside my own head. And as I get older and come to the sense of my own mortality, I think about where I've been and what I've done. And I was a complicated fucking mess when I was your age, and there wasn't a pandemic, and there wasn't video of people being fucking murdered by civil servants, and there was even though Clinton was an absolute fucking waste, at least there was a feeling of some kind of progress happening, and at least there was an economy that worked for most people. I mean, like, making $5.75 an hour in the 90s was like living large compared to now. So you're coming into all of this, and I mean, you're not going to have a prom. And I mean, that's ancillary to all the problems going on, but that's the kind of normalcy that America was, where that was the thing that you had to look forward to, where now it doesn't matter, and it's insignificant because everything's so complicated. So what do you do? Answer for all the children and tell me.
No pressure.
What do you do aside from vote for Biden?
Yeah, so I'm starting to realize that, like, I'm starting to realize that the world's pretty scary. Even before 2020 happened, but I feel like realizing that gets you more determined to try to push through it. So we may not have the same experiences other people our age had. I mean, we already missed our prom, which, like you said, in the grand scheme of things, really doesn't mean much, but it does kind of affect the way that you are experiencing this point in life. That and instead of whereas like people are having prom on the night that should have been prom, maybe we were out protesting downtown. So it's really kind of driving me and other people to work towards making sure that moments like this don't happen in the future for kids or grandkids once they get older.
I think it's lovely that you think you're going to have kids and grandkids. And I mean, not just you, but that the world's not just going to burn before all of that because of our ignorance. What do you push now? You know, I mean, you've got all the heart, you've got the determination, you got the world against you, but you personally, you know, where do you put your power? Where do you put your, you know, where do you want your effect to be felt now?
Well, so obviously the places you can make like the biggest change in this world are in our government institutions. And that's my ultimate goal in life, is to be a part of that. I do want to end up going to politics and trying to influence those things. And I feel like if we can start getting our progressive ideas in there now, then it won't seem so taboo in the future once we get people like us in there. So if we can start pushing the ideas that we want the future to be like, then when it comes time to implement those, they won't seem like radical ideas.
How radical are your ideas, Alton?
Radical. So I'll tell you the books that I've read during quarantine.
Yes.
This is gonna be our new feature. Is
every week Alton will break up while he's telling us his
quarantine
books.
book club. Like I think
So-
I'm real excited about this.
Yeah. So the first book. Do you know who Noam Chomsky is?
No idea.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, I read his book on anarchism, which goes over the
Primer.
anarchist idea, which is not what many people think it is. And then socialism. That was a good book. Some of my friends thought I was getting brainwashed by the time I finished that book. But I feel like a lot of stuff in there is pretty basic to what anybody should want to do. And another book I read was you know who Karl Marx is.
Mm-hmm.
So I read the Communist Manifesto, which also
Why does everyone leave out Engels? It's all Marx.
Friedrich Engels. Okay,
Poor Engels.
So I read that because people kept calling me a communist and a Marxist on Facebook. So I was like, well, I better read up on this.
Let me see if that's accurate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Alton.
but
I just felt it was necessary.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the stuff in that book's pretty basic. I don't know who reads that and gets scared. Because, like, to me, that's just like...
Old white people.
Old white people.
So, yeah. So those are two books that influenced me a lot during this. And I think that if we can actually start pushing for things that, healthcare is a human right, people that they do, they shouldn't be paid less because the guy at the top who doesn't do any work wants to reap the rewards of their labor. But some people, that's really radical. So I think it's important for people to start growing up with the idea that these are basic human rights, so that when it comes time to implement that, like I said, it's not going to be assumed radical, because it shouldn't even be radical now. Like I started learning Dutch during quarantine. So I made a lot of friends in the Netherlands, and I talked to them about, America versus the Netherlands. And then they're just in shock because they had no clue that America is the way it is. They like to say that America is like a third world country in a Gucci belt, because we our healthcare system is terrible. They have universal healthcare in much of Western Europe. They don't have a two-party system like we do. They don't have police officers with guns. They don't have police officers killing people for no reason. So when you tell them that, if you mention the idea of giving someone who can't afford health care America, you're seeing in this country, they're in shock because to them that's a basic human right. And Europe, childcare is a basic human right. Here, you are an enemy of society if you say that that's a basic human right.
Yeah, because
Right.
Yep. Yeah, people are not pro-life, they're pro-birth.
Right.
And people are not about equality, they're about self-determination that leads nowhere. And
Yes.
you know, this what's it like growing up not just knowing from your cognizant age at 14 that, you know, the like when someone says, you know, live out the American dream to you, that's gotta, you just gotta laugh in their face.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hilarious because there's no substance to it when they say that. They say that they say you gotta live out the American dream, but they're also working 3 minimum wage jobs and hardly able to afford their house. That's not a dream that anybody wants to live in. That's a nightmare, in my opinion. So when they say that the American dream, they're really just talking about something that others have attained and then told them that they can as well if they give them work to help, you know. So like the American dream, in my opinion, is just something that is thought up by the people who own a lot of the commerce in this country, and then it's something that's given to people to get them to try to work for their companies, thinking that they're obtaining that dream.
Yeah. Like your dream should be to make money for me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's basically what they're saying.
Right.
And maybe we'll let you have a house.
Right.
If you're good.
Yes. Whereas in a lot of other countries, that's, like I said, seen as a basic human right. In America, it's seen as a sense of you achieving the quote-unquote American dream, which, like I said, is just so illogical. It's like same with false patriotism in America. Like another thing that I've learned from my Dutch friends is that they're very creeped out by how patriotic Americans are, because like I'll tell them that, you know, we say the Pledge of Allegiance, which they think it's like a cult. They didn't believe me when I told them that. I said, yeah, every day at the beginning of school, we say the Pledge of Allegiance. They thought I was lying.
I didn't.
And then flies American flags. Nobody flies flags in Europe, really.
Yeah.
Except for government buildings. And they're like, why are people flying these things? Like they're like, you guys, what are you proud of when you fly that flag?
Well, it's like,
and you really
it's like
gotta
we root for America like it's a sports team.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know, which when it's the Olympics and we're all going like USA, USA, win hockey, then that makes sense. But like the rest of the time,
I
we're
like how you pick the whitest sport
to
make an example of.
Yeah. Well, because those are the ones we win.
I kind of hope the South loses again. They need to learn their lesson this time.
Yeah, that'll show.
Reconstruction ruined everything. Read about it. That's your next book. Read about the Reconstruction ruined everything when they took that away, and it just, you know, like
we were getting into that. We were getting into that in my AP US, but then Corona had to happen. So.
And now,
so
now you just don't know.
Which of those schools do you go to?
I go to
Alton?
Collegiate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I do want to.
Oh yeah, talk shit on your school.
No. So I do want to say something about.
Like, why aren't all Erie high schools like Collegiate? Anyway.
Well, no, I've have a lot of issues when it comes to Collegiate.
No.
Go on.
Yeah, go.
Please share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've only got the school board on with you, so you know now's your now's your time to ask.
At Collegiate.
Yeah. So in my sophomore year, I wrote I write for the school paper, and my sophomore year I wrote about the architecture report that the school district had done on the schools in the district. And like Collegiate is a hot mess.
Yes.
I mean, I know they're doing construction now, but it is a hot mess. And there were some issues I had because I had brought up, as we know, that ventilation's an issue in the schools right now.
Right.
And I had had interviewed Superintendent Polito about it. And I mean, it's a no-brainer that even before Corona happened, that respiratory illnesses and infections spread faster in schools of a lack of ventilation. And I had brought it up to him, and he had said that not a health concern at all. And then that was shoved to the bottom of the list of the reconstruction plan for the school. And then it was put on the same part of the list as the sound system in the auditorium was. But then we got a second gym. That was the first thing they did, the second gym and the secure entrances and redoing the promenade. And where I had issues is like I feel like something like ventilation, then a second gym, especially because collegiate we're not known for our gym classes or athleticism at that school.
Not really the athletic powerhouse of the.
Let's not lie. Like if you went to Erie High, you'd be starting shooting guard. So that's why. Say more, because infrastructure is ruined all over this country, but especially in schools, and especially when it makes you sick, and especially when they're closing a bunch of them and they can't distance. So now what do you do?
Well, so like you said, they are doing the reconstruction plans in the district when it comes to rebuilding the schools, which is a good thing. Because I've been through a lot of collegiate. There's 2 floors of collegiate that are abandoned because they can't be used. And I mean, it is kind of unsettling to be in a school like that. But I mean, we are working with what we've got. Like, we go to the gym class, and I mean, it is kind of fun when you're playing basketball and you got to watch the trash cans that are collecting the rainwater. But it definitely wasn't the best way to go through school for the first 3 years of being there, and for the people who have been there since the 90s. So, but I mean, like, people make do with what they've got. And
shit, dude, my grandfather went to academy and he's been dead for fucking 16 years. Like, that's how long that school's been around. So
it's been around since 1920. So
I mean, I can agree. But my thing is, we could have more students in school if they had addressed these issues before they had to address the issues. You know what I'm saying?
Could you imagine fixing those schools in the 90s for that price versus fixing a school now and what it would cost?
Right.
There's no investment in the future, and not doing it now versus what it's going to cost in 2030 when the earth is on fire.
Yeah.
And
it's like, oh, you guys want to breathe inside. Oh, that's
right. We want to actually have oxygen
quaint.
in there.
That's why the last superintendent fled the state, I guess.
Wow. I'll just say the last superintendent is very different than the superintendent we have now.
Yeah.
Very different.
That's political.
But I can agree though. Like I can feel you, because my daughter goes there too, Angelina. So, it's a lot of stuff that has been ignored in the schools that could have been addressed if things were properly being monitored. Let me just say that.
Oh no, just if Strong Vincent and East and Central weren't full of black students, they'd be fucking palaces in this town. That's what happened.
Yeah.
That's all.
And also the financials weren't being properly.
No one tended to them because it was a mafia-run town and no one gave a shit. And then they gave tax breaks for hotels and bayfront highways and that never went anywhere. And they've got traffic lights and shitty hotels on there too. Like, this town is a sham. And 6 people made money. And now they all sit on the board of the EDDC and ruin this town. And then they give you curling. And they're like, are you happy, Erie?
Curling that never happened because COVID.
Yeah, we didn't even get our curling. We got
curling.
2 weeks of curling, and then they took that away from us too.
Yeah, and it's not even going to be cold
That is
enough
peak.
this year.
That is peak Erie curling in a McDonald's parking lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. As you watch a homeless person die trying to sleep under Lucky's sign that won't save him, because at least back in the day they would have let him in while they were playing illegal poker there. But now you got to watch him die while you're trying to throw a stone down. Oh, it's fucking town.
Good times.
When do you start lighting fires, Alton? When, I mean, honestly, though, like, look at everything that hasn't worked. I mean, that's got to be part of your history at this point. You got to look at everything, and it drives me bonkers to, when the population, the majority of the population of this country didn't know about the things that happened in Tulsa until there was a Watchmen episode about it.
Right?
Yeah.
We're single digit generations removed from the Civil War, and none of that healing has ever taken place. And you've watched just the politics degenerate over my 43 years, let alone your 17, where it's just hyper moved, where we can't even look at someone from the other party because they're going to steal our yard signs. So when does your future become predicated on breaking the past? Like I really wish, and I don't, but I really wish COVID would have been the boomer remover that it was supposed to be. Like, I really wish everybody over 60 would have just been like, oh, can't breathe, and
love
dropped.
your mom.
Yeah, I love my mom, but it would have been sad, but fuck it. That's the only way shit's going to change. We got to clear out this fucking dead wood. It's like all the fires in California are burning because we didn't rake the floor. Well, we got to rake the floor, and all these people that were born in the 40s have got to go. So Alton,
well, I mean, think that. Yeah, so I think that when it comes to the idea of why things aren't progressing the way they should in this country, it's not just to be put blame on old people, but it's to be put blame on old money, in a sense, because government works for corporations. Those are the people who can have contact in the government. They're lobbyists, and the only way that you see government working for the people is if you run politics, especially the way it is right now. So there's nothing that's going to change just by generation taking over for the next, because those values are still going to be transferred down from the uber wealthy to their kids, to their grandkids. Like, they're the ones who are carrying the government. They're the ones who are going to be controlling things. And I think the only way is to stop that is if we start electing people who aren't taking money from lobbyists, who aren't taking money from corporations, who aren't taking money from super PACs. I mean, we got to start seeing
you got a
Biden
sign in your yard. Like, that dude, that dude's whole state exists because they don't make credit cards set a limit on their fucking fees. Like, everything about that guy is 45 years of fucking corrupt corporate money.
Though.
So believe me. So, like I said, I first supported Beto. I got to meet Beto, and I was with him for his birthday party and had a whole conversation with him. It was a really nice meeting. And then Beto dropped out a couple months later. So then I started obviously supporting Bernie, because I do have like an ultra left ideology, as we would say. But I mean, when it comes to this election, it's pretty obvious. Biden was the one who was chosen. You can't fake votes.
Well, you can.
And you do.
Alton,
So you can, how does he run the table in Iowa and Nevada and California, but all of a sudden, all these southern states? Anyway, let's not litigate the past.
Alton, as a young person today, how do you feel about the efficacy of protests, of the protests that continue to go on? Like, you've said a number.
You weren't even alive for Bush v. Gore. You don't know. They've been taking elections for decades.
Well, I'm
Anyway,
talking about
sorry.
protests in the streets
Yeah,
now.
I
Do
know.
you see?
I didn't
Are you
realize it was the
participating
Ren
in
hour,
that?
but it is.
And do you see that as a meaningful agent for change?
Yeah, I do think so. Because at least in other countries, protests have worked to get things changed in government.
Well, and they used
Now,
to here.
I guess the question would be, yeah, they used to here. If you, they definitely did. If you look at like
The
incidents
civil
back
rights movement.
in the 20th century, there were. I think the problem with the United States is that they're really good at suppressing movements. They do it a lot better than any of the other countries that we accuse of doing it. So I think that if you can and have the tenacity to keep doing it, I think eventually it will break people down into agreeing with you. But honestly, when it comes to doing a protest, the hardest problem about affecting change is making sure that it's not stopped.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I'll ask again, when do you start burning shit down, man? Like, these institutions aren't going to change. The money is not going to change hands. You know, like the Scots have got a bunch of sons and a bunch of grandkids that are just going to keep putting shit hotels and Applebee's everywhere. And I don't like views of the Bayfront Parkway, and I don't like boiled steak. So I don't want that shit.
Oh
you know?
my god.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of people are going into the idea that the only way to change the functions of government are to do a complete all-out riot of it, just complete dismantling of the system. And I think that if you asked me a few months ago, I probably would have agreed with you. But I feel like right now is such an important time where we don't want to risk anything. And I think that is that, well, one, we've got to vote for Biden. No other way around that. And then at the same time, we have to focus on getting people who won't bend over for lobbyists and corporations. And then I think that's when you can actually start. I mean, it sounds impossible. And I know that you probably won't agree with me, but I think that if we actually start getting people who are not people who work for lobbyists, like you look at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's 100% grassroots funded. She doesn't take any money from corporations or lobbyist groups, and they hate her. Everyone in Congress hates her. All news networks hate her because she's actually there to represent the people who voted for her. So I think if we could replicate that
exactly what I said earlier.
times 400, we can get that in.
No.
I definitely agree. I literally said that earlier. That's why they don't like me, because I don't need anything from them. I don't need you to give my mom a job.
Exactly.
I don't need you to give my son anything. I don't need any money from you.
Or plow your driveway.
Right. I don't need
Yeah.
that. So they don't.
Yeah, and that's
like
what scares
you.
them.
You don't need anything from them.
They can't comprehend someone not doing it to fulfill their needs.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They cannot comprehend that. They think that politics is there to serve them, not to serve the people who voted for them.
So who do we have locally? I mean, setting aside Angela, we love you, Angela. Who do we have locally that you feel like has those motivations or can be that AOC type person for us? Or
who are we
for
looking
Pennsylvania?
for?
Well, we don't have any choice.
Locally.
Yeah, I can't stress enough. When you go to the ballot, you have to make sure that you vote for Christy Ganivas, because she's running against Mike Kelly for PA16.
Yeah.
That Mike Kelly he's
fuck Mike Kelly.
serving there
That's
for
all you need
Trump
to
and the
say. Like, you don't
Yeah.
need to say anything else about that guy.
Yeah.
Fuck Mike Kelly. His car dealership sells hurricane damaged cars to people. He has voted for nothing but the dismantling of society. He would take money from a fucking gnat and vote pro bug. It doesn't matter. That guy is the worst human being that has existed in Erie County because there's lots of bad people around, but in so long, like, what a fucking dirtbag. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, I do not understand how he gets reelected every time.
Because he's Mike Kelly and he's got a
name
name.
recognition.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
and there's a
rolls off
whole
the tongue.
part of this county that's full of fucking mouth breathing hicks.
Well, and
that's
because
why.
and because they gerrymandered our district, all this shit.
And name recognition.
Yeah, well, this is the first election where it's not
gerrymandered.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, less. I mean, it's still
less.
Yeah.
Right.
At least it got
It's
caught doing
not
it.
just Erie. We're not the only ones who vote
for Mike Kelly's position.
Yeah, it's Butler
so
County.
You got to think about all the places that's passed here that he gets these votes from. That
Yeah.
really don't care or cap about anybody that of persons of color.
Well, and he shows up one time to a one
Exactly.
stoplight town and holds an ice cream social, and he's a god.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he literally like outright refuses to meet with his constituents. He doesn't even hide it.
He doesn't.
He'll never be in Erie. He never wants to do a town hall. He's open about it. I mean, he literally does not hide it.
No. Mm-mm.
He has
Nope.
no interest in representing Erie.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and,
Nope.
and his strategy of ignoring Erie has worked because of the shape they drew that district in for so many years. And, you know, hopefully, and, you know, it's
Exactly.
it's gone from totally unwinnable just because of, you know,
There's
math and
Yeah.
art, because to
Yeah,
to a point where it's you know, it's a
There's a
stretch.
chance.
But I mean, Ron DiNicola came within a couple points of it.
Yeah.
A couple
Yeah,
years,
that,
you know,
he
the
was
last
really
cycle.
close.
But,
but
you
I
know,
mean,
4 years ago.
Ron DiNicola, he'll order drone strikes, but he'll laugh with you when he tells you about them. So,
Sure.
you know, that's
Well,
where
and,
he's
you know,
at.
But you know, we've been talking about name recognition. You know, Ron DiNicola's a name that, if you're from Erie, that's a name you've known for 35 years, and
nothing's changed. Like, fuck it. I mean, that's the thing. Like, they're not celebrities.
Yeah, but
that's
you know
what we need to know. We need leadership. Like, if you hung fucking Schemberg and the fucking police chief and Kathy Dahlkemper and Ron DiNicola and dug up Thompson and hung him from the fucking tower, things would change in this town. Fucking, let's get Tom Ridge back here off the Home
Bring back
Depot and
heads
fucking
on spikes.
yeah, we'll put 2 fucking wraps of fucking plastic sheeting around him so the retaliation from 9/11 won't get us. Like, fuck this city. Fuck all these people. Like, the past is Alton. Honestly, like, if you started a militia, a left-wing communist militia, and you all changed your names to Friedrich and just went out and just offed all these fucking empty people, it would be a lot better than you trying to turn the vote, than you putting up yard signs. Like, just a vigilante crew in a, you know, like, Escalade, just driving around, just offing these fucking old people. That would do way more than any books you ever read or any vote you ever cast or any ballot or any like petition you got someone to sign.
I feel like I'm about to get some. I feel like I'm going to get some agents knocking on my door tomorrow because of this.
Yeah.
I mean,
They haven't hit us up yet.
I mean,
they've been going
here's
at
the
this
thing.
for months. So
If you, so here's the thing: like you say, Erie is unchangeable, but if you can actually do true grassroots organization and actually get people to vote, I think it was in I think there's less than 30% of Erie that actually shows up at the polls. I mean, it's a very small amount. It's never over like 28%.
Nope.
So it's easy to win an election in Erie, I feel. You like I remember Tyler Hayden, like it's on the ballot and into these local seats, and actually if you want to see change, then run for it and try to do it. Like it's obtainable, and if you know the right people, if you know how to energize people, if you know how to do true grassroots movement, that's where change is going to happen. is from the lowest levels of office in your communities. So I mean, it's not entirely possible if you can get like-minded people to go up and show up to the polls.
Alton, I love you and I support you, and I want you to do everything that's good. But I'd like to give you a perspective on Erie. I do this other thing in not the times of COVID, where I try to get people to go see music. And knowing your parents, both of your parents love music, and they love going out and seeing live music. And when there's good live music in your town, your parents show up because they like to see good music. There's lots of good music in this town on all kinds of levels, in all kinds of places. And you can't get 30% of this town that likes music to show up to see music.
Yeah.
Right.
So how the fuck are you going to get 40, 50, 60 people in this percent of the town to show up for politics, which is not music, which is not fun, and which just makes them feel bad because they got to learn how horrible the people leading them into this ruin are.
And you usually can't even drink while you do it.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like Jay Brennerman's proven that wrong.
Oh, if he still watched our show, he'd be laughing.
Oh, he still watches the show. He commented a couple weeks ago. Jay still loves it.
He's combing his mustache. It's
fine. Unlike Tapper.
Fuck Tapper.
For the same reason that Alton's parents don't show up, they're raising their children. Jay Brenneman can't stay up till midnight on a Sunday. He has children to raise.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angela.
Yeah, right? Once again, a black woman doing more shit than a white guy can in half the time.
Exactly.
Backwards and in heels.
And angry. What do you think, Adam? You know, because now we just have to, because we reached a dead end.
Yeah.
Because I said something. Because I could go another 45 minutes with both of you.
Yeah.
Because it's like every week Adam finds a way to find the best people to have for us, because I do no work on this show. I am simply here to get drunk and be pretty and ask funny questions. But you two have been some of the best guests, and I want to have you back as soon as possible. Absolutely. Angela McNair, whatever office you run for in the future, you have my support and my voice, and I will bring anyone behind you to tell you, and I will push you to the left of your most left decision, because I think you can go there, and I think it would sound a lot better and be a lot more meaningful if it came out of your mouth than mine. You are a divine spirit in this town. I believe in the future of this town. I believe in the progress of this town. I believe that it exists, and I believe it can happen. And I think that if anything does, you will be one of the people that breaks through to get the rest of us there. You're doing magical stuff, and I hope you don't stop, and I know you won't, but it's awesome to have you with us, and I will have you back anytime, even if Adam's not here. And we'll find someone else to run it. There's lots of white nerds in this town.
Yeah, lots of people know how to push buttons.
Alton,
thank you,
man. I'm a huge fan of yours, always have been. But you know, you got it, kid. Just keep going. You're way ahead of a lot of people that are our age, and you know, that's not saying much, but it is for you. So keep going, man. You're doing cool stuff. Don't talk to corporate newspapers anymore. Go to the underground, guys. They'll find you too. But keep going, man. Don't give up. Like, it's you know, don't let me ruin your hope. You'll get that ruined on your own. Just keep going down your path. Keep reading what you're reading. All your dreams will dissolve at the same time, and it'll be great. And you'll come out better for it. Yeah. But anytime you want to go burn down hotels on the bay, just give me a call.
Yeah, Michael.
I'll pick you up. Okay, I can stay up late, so we'll be allowed to go out together. I'm his guardian. I get him into R-rated movies, and then we burn down fucking shit that doesn't need to be built in our town. Where Alton, do you want people to follow you? Do you want people to find you? Where can they see this? Where's your YouTube channel? What's your Twitch?
Yeah. Where's your OnlyFans?
I don't have that, but
Oh man! Tomorrow, when a bunch of fucking
all my
diocesan
stuff, so-
emails come in asking for your OnlyFans, blame Adam.
Sorry.
He's allowed to have fans.
All right, sorry. Go ahead, Alton.
Yeah.
So yeah, all my platforms are just my name, Alton Northup. But I mean, a lot of people do get annoyed because I kind of spam post politics on them. But if you like politics, I find it really interesting. I mean, I've got a collection of action figures of politicians, so. But yeah,
I only like politics that align with my biases. So.
I can't wait to get my Jimmy Carter Funko Pop.
Jimmy Carter.
I've got a Jimmy Carter action figure. He's like 6 inches tall.
Nice.
Really cool. Got the sweater on.
Please follow Alton so that he can change your mind and make you better, so that you can relate to your kids more. Angela, where can people see you in action? Because I know that, they run some video of that school board stuff, and I know that, you do some things. So how would you like people to discover and know you so that we can vote for you in whatever capacity we need to next time?
Hey, just follow me on Facebook at Angela Odette. That's where all the magic happens.
Angela, Alton, you guys have been phenomenal, and you can come back anytime for conversation. We don't have to hit you up. Hit Adam up.
Yeah.
And he'll have you back. And Alton, I think we should start that book club.
Yeah.
5 minutes a week. Yeah. And we can do it.
I think that's a great idea.
My brother Robert, growing up, Robert Johnson's sister. This is the new book I just got today that I'm going to start reading, and it's about the blues legend without the myth, and how he fought racism and the holy hell that he went through, and so get into that too. But it's been awesome to see you. Adam, do you have anything that you want to play so that we can come back and talk about how we've relieved our white guilt and we feel less old than we do?
Yeah, I can do that. I got some more Sir Nate, the one that we didn't play earlier.
Cool.
So we'll listen to him talk about hip hop, and then we'll come back in a couple minutes and say goodnight to the people. In the meantime, good night, Angela. Good night, Alton.
Good night.
Love you
Good
both.
night.
Thank you both for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
And
Thank you.
we will talk to you in a minute. Social distancing.
All right, thanks.
Hip-hop's from the Bronx, that's where it's born from. But what is hip-hop's etymological origin? A word's etymology is how it was formed and when. And words are important, you should be informed of them. Here's an etymological, lexical chronicle, wrought to give thought in full to its topical vocable. Hip-hop, a genre of audible, optical thought and flow. Get taught, it's part of hip-hop to know, you know? And so here it is, the etymology of hip-hop. Well, hip comes first, but at first hip was hep, which meant up to date with it and in step, which in 1914 first appears with that name in the now rare vocabulary of criminal slang, which claims that it came from a detective's last name who was, legend has it, always hep to the game, and so his name became a saying. He's hep like he's heard of it, but some say that's wrong. Here are other alternatives. Some say that it comes from ancient plowmen and shepherds who when herding would shout the word hep to their herds. Hep hep, like tut tut, the kind of word you're using as you do in hip hop when you're getting things moving. More likely sources, on the other hand, say that it's from the Wolof language of Senegal, Mauritania, and Gambia. Hepi, to open one's eyes. Well, that's eye-opening and should come as no surprise, since West Africa was the home of the griot, or jelly, who practiced the ancient art of tale and poem telling and preserving a cultural knowledge by rapping it. But some say even that etymology is inaccurate. But wherever it came from, what matters is where it went. It entered the vernacular of black Americans in the 30s and 40s in what they call the jive era, 50 years before jive and era. And its usage continued in the context of jazz, first among musicians and then among the fans. So a hep cat went from being a jazz man to later being a white intellectual jazz appreciator, and ultimately as hip made the transition from hip. If that was a transition that you weren't hip to yet, and you still said hip and not hip, well then you'd fall into the category of persons who were not hip at all. Hop, as in jump, or a one-footed leap, first appeared in the 1500s from a deep Proto-Germanic root word in modern form hoofen, to engage in a bouncing, springing forth movement, combining then hip, which means conscious and aware, and hop, which means making a leap in the air. You have conscious movement, that's how KRS explains it. He's the teacher of hip-hop. I teach ancient languages. DJ is a disc jockey, it's an established acronym. Less obvious perhaps, the MCs that rap to them can stand for the master of ceremonies, or for mic checker or the less-known microphone controller. Graffiti's Latin via Greek and via Latin from Italian, and even ancient Romans wrote but not on iron stallions. Breaking is from Brecken, Old English to shatter. Old English 800 is a good way to get plastered. Rap is onomatopoetic, and so whoever did invent it, when they thought it and said it, made up a word that recreated some impression that came before, like the rapping Edgar heard at his chamber door. It came from ancient Danish, here becoming a term of art. It meant a light, quick blow. It also meant fart. And that's poetic justice, because it's obvious there are some rappers who claim to drop shit that's just air. That's rap, but what about trap? In the past 10 years, everybody's feeling that. But where's the word come from, or where's the word at? It was slang for the spot where you drug transact. Trap, deriving from trap, that enter onto which someone can step, implying a movement that comes to a stop. And some people don't like it, some like it a lot. Why not? I'm not really saying either way, I'm trying to say the way it went and whence it came, and since it came to get its name, and then became a way, a statement that's pervasive in the game, and oftentimes it's like a homophone, it kind of sounds the same. I guess it's half the title, but it's everywhere late. I guess they call it trap, it's hard to escape. Hip-hop evolves and undergoes changes, and yet somehow its essence transcends and stays changeless. And the line between who's real and who appropriates it is whether you make it in such a way that no haters can say shit. That's what I'm trying to do. And I recognize genre is nothing more than a means to catalog an author, and I don't care if what you call what I do is hip-hop or historical essays masquerading as song words. What I care about is this: regardless of your origin, when a crowd hears your voice, be sure you inform them, make them hip to what's real, make them hop to what moves them, make them think, make them feel, give them thought, give them movement. For this is the function of language and music, however you may make it, wherever you may do it, cause words are just words and what's real is just facts. And it's not just where they're from, it's where they're at.
Social distancing variety hour.
Social distancing variety hour.
Come on, Ren, where's that falsetto? I want some lady harmony.
So social
distancing variety hour.
Oh, that was lovely.
That was great.
That was Sir Nate.
I love women.
Nathan Dufour
Hip-hop.
Oglesby, friend of the program from New York. With his
Dude, how dope was that show?
That was great, especially once technology became our friend. Yay, technology.
I'm covered in cat hair.
Yeah, I mean, it brings us to... I'll cover you in cat hair.
Is that what they're calling it these days?
I've always called it that. Yeah, so check out Angela and Alton where you can, because they're super dope, and they're what's happening in the present and in the future in our little hamlet.
Yeah. And
around the world, really. I mean, that's, there's pockets of this everywhere. So we're happy to bring it to you. You and I both have T-shirts we want to talk about. I do, because this is a Human Animal T-shirt.
Nice.
Local awesome band.
Yeah.
Human Animal, and so college. I felt like rocking my. I used to call it Silas.
Yeah.
Support your local scene.
Yeah. We don't have
so I've been
those
trying to
right
wear
now.
a lot more local bands, because I've been wearing international band shirts that are still local to me. But so I'm all down with it. But you've got you got something beautiful to show us.
I've got
first your T-shirt, then your cock.
I've got
higher.
Just stand up.
I will. So we got
put your pants back on and stand up.
Woody Guthrie is on my shirt. And,
that's a Woody Guthrie.
And on the bottom, Woody Guthrie, as we all know, was an anti-fascist.
He killed fashion.
Yeah, because we all know what Woody Guthrie's guitar said on it. Drop it in the comments. And
I had Jen Christina tattoo that on my cock. It says, "This machine kills fascists." So far, 2 Mike Kelly aides have choked on my cock and died. So I think it's working out.
I got nothing to
Hi, I'm
add
Michael
to that.
Bennett. I'm making enemies that don't even know my name.
Hi, I'm Adam. This has been another social distancing variety hour. We'll see you back here next week with Alton Northup's book club.
Hopefully. Actually, next week isn't that Labor Day?
That is Labor Day.
On that Monday next week. Yeah, are we doing a show next week?
I don't know. Hit me up tomorrow. We'll talk about
We'll
it.
let you know.
We will let you know. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/social distancing.
Follow Adam.
But that's the page for the show, and yeah, be my friend, and we'll let you know whether there's a show next week or not, because it is Labor Day weekend, and people might have shit to do.
Yeah, but I'd rather you watch live because I feel you, and maybe I got something to do because I got a 4-day weekend somehow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Partial nudity.
Hey. So we'll see you next week or the week after with more cool guests. We'll talk more about education and the plight of our particular corner of the world. And in the meantime, we love you guys. Be safe. Wash your hands. Don't shoot each other.
Wear your fucking mask and wear it right.